Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to discuss a stock called blackberry. You can see that this blackberry has been falling sharply recently, but is that the bad news actually? In fact, yesterday the price moved quite good, and it could actually do a reversal if the next candle can go higher, but we are not sure on that. And what I want to discuss today is basically the volume that this particular BlackBerry has been increasing tremendously comparing to the past several months. And if you look at let me bring you to the larger time scale. And if you look at the larger time scale of this map, it's in fact has been on a sideway, and what we want to discuss is whether this particular stock will have the ability to break out from this particular sideway move. And one good hint is basically we notice a gap. So if you notice here, there is a gap here. So when the price jump, there is a gap. So you can see a price gap there, and it comes with a high volume. Does that mean that this particular BlackBerry stock is going to do a breakout very soon? So this is what we want to analyze today. So please stay on, look all the way to the end, because we will do a preliminary analysis before we extensively go into this matter. And this is Shah&Co. Please like, share and subscribe this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We're going to bring you a lot of interesting videos, so you'll stay updated with this particular analysis. Stay tuned. We'll see you. Okay, so now let's begin our analysis. So I'm now in a monthly time range. So basically we are looking at a very long term how this particular stock BlackBerry has been performing. Well, it was very wonderful during the years of 2008 and thereon. But after that, somewhere around year 2008 itself saw a downfall somewhere toward the end of year 2008. So since then this stock did not do any well. It has been doing or rather going low, and since 2014 for some very long time it has been moving in sideways. If you notice, if I were to draw a chart pattern here, you can see that we have a strong support line at this particular downside. Okay, so this is a strong support line. Why I say so? Because this particular support line is passing through many candles, the low part of the candles, and that basically gives a strong support. As you can see here, all the low points of the candle we are able to pass through most of it. So a good support is when a particular line can go through many candles, the low part of it. Okay, so this is a low, and this is another low. That's another low there, and here it managed to go beyond that trend line, and then it managed to go up. So at least we have three points that gives a good support here. And on the top side we can see it's not that strong, but anyway, if I were to draw this, roughly might be the what you call the top line. Could be that roughly we can figure that this is also almost, we have three support points here, 1, 2, and somewhere here 3. So in a way it has been moving up and down within this trading range of this rectangle, I would say rectangle kind of pattern here. But things become surprisingly interesting somewhere around December 2020 last year. The volume, especially the volume of this particular share or stock has been somehow gaining interest of many buyers. So since then the buyers are pulling it up, pulling it up. So the first time it touches the resistance line here. So let me draw. This is the resistance point here, this particular area. So then suddenly sellers come in and push down. But interestingly, if you look at these sellers, they were not as tough as what they used to be. Because in the past, when the seller push it down, it will go all the way to touch the support line. Here is almost go down to the touch support, even lower than support line. But that did not happen this time. Around this time, what we saw is the seller managed to sell to some extent, but the buyers quickly come in, and they come in a high volume. They come in high volume, and basically what this shows is it is kind of making an uptrend. So if you were to just let me highlight this particular region. So if you were to just focus on this particular region, you will see. Oops. Okay. If you just focus on this particular region, you see some sort of uptrend is coming up, but we are not sure yet 100% because this is the low, and then the high is around this area, right? And then the low is getting higher. So the low is getting higher, and then the high is, we have one high, we don't know how's the next high going to be. So partially is kind of having the pattern of upside, but we are still waiting because you know why? After this particular sell down, let me remove, let me clear up. Okay, so after this particular sell down here, okay, so around this region, if you focus around this region, right? So when this is sell down, then the buyers manage to pull it up. So it's basically moving on the upper side. So we are not sure if this particular up move will be able to break out from this particular resistance line. So this is a critical line. So if you manage to break out from this critical horizontal line, our trend line here, then we definitely can show that this particular blackberry is actually going to be in an uptrend. It's going to be a very good trading opportunity for us to buy low. So if you were to thinking about buying, I would suggest that for you to wait for a couple of months, I would say, because this is on a monthly chart. So we don't want to trade on a fake kind of breakout, as we observe around this region. See, around this region we observe false breakout. We managed to go above that particular resistance line, but it didn't sustain long. So we want to wait for a couple of months. So unfortunately it has to be a couple of months. We need to see if it consistently making a trend up, or it could be lesser than, it could be less, not that couple of months, it could be in a few days possible, as long as we can see a consistent up move beyond this particular horizontal line, then it's safe for us to enter. And in fact our ratio of risk ratio is very low here, because our down possibility is very low, whereas the up potential is very high. So in terms of risk ratio, this is going to give a good risk ratio, risk benefit in other words, because the potential for it to go low after it do a breakout is very slim, but for the potential for it to go up very high is a lot more probable, Okay, this is basically analyzing on the long term, but you will see surprisingly a different picture will emerge when you go and analyze in the short term. So we need to kind of combine these two knowledge, the long term knowledge and the short term knowledge, to make a conclusion. Okay, so another thing before I forget for us to note is there is a gap in the sideway pattern. Usually it doesn't matter, it doesn't give any significance, but for this case I'm a bit optimistic, because it actually did a gap on a high volume. So we still need to watch if it basically has got the power to move beyond this particular horizontal line. So this particular line I'm putting here, so if it manage to go beyond this particular line here, horizontal line, then we are very safe to go in. Okay, so now after I've kind of analyzed for you this long term picture, so let me go into the short term picture. I'll go to what you call day chart. Let me go to day chart. In a day chart, you will get very different picture. Okay, so let us look at this day chart. So in the day chart, it is how would you classify this particular move? Is it upward move, downward move, or is it sideway? So now we will take our trend lines and start to plot the highs. You see the high is very high here, and then this is the other high. So when you plot it out, you get this kind of line, and then you also have to plot the low side. So if I were to plot the low side, it's actually moving on the upside. Okay, so I would say this is in the short range, in the short time span. This is the pattern we get, and this pattern is what we call as sideway pattern. Okay, so it is sideway pattern, and now sideway patterns we can expect that since the price moved so high and then went down, and here it went up so high, it's supposed to go all the way down here to around this area. So on a shorter time frame, this stock is not really a good buy unless we can see some miracle around this area. Actually, we noticed yesterday's candle managed to pull up beyond the half of the day before candle, so that is somewhat optimistic, but I wouldn't trade yet. I wouldn't trade on this stock yet. We're still observing it, so I want to see for a few more days whether it's going up or it's going to go down. So I'll keep observing it. It's not safe for time being to trade this particular stock because it's going to go down. Most likely, even though we have a candle that actually pulls it up beyond the half of the yesterday's candle. Now I'm going to do a bit of price estimate. I'm going to get this pattern. Okay, this is what we call the Fibonacci trend pattern, so we're going to use that. Okay, so let me look at the downside first. So I'm going to go from the low. Just give me a minute. I'll remove off all the lines here because it's disturbing me. Okay, so now I'm going to go from the low here all the way to the high. Okay, and then I'm going to go all the way to the low here. Okay. Now, definitely the up move was shorter. It took a short period of time to move upward, but it took a long period of time to move downward. So, in terms of sentiment, now we are just analyzing on the time perspective. In terms of sentiment, the buyers were strong to push it up because they push up quickly, but the sellers of less sentiment because they pull down the price slowly. Okay, so therefore we will estimate according to the theory, because the buyer is more powerful than the seller, so we can actually project the price to move at the Fibonacci level 1.618. Okay, it's actually beyond this chart. I can't see the Fibonacci level because it's way higher. So right now we can see at the most is 0.786. But we are, according to theory, you should be able to move up all the way to 1.618. That is just theory. That's just theory. And we notice that in the next price move, it only managed to go up to this level. This is the high it managed to reach. Okay, so we can see that this particular expectation was not met, where we expected it to go like way higher at the level of 1.618, but we were only managed to go the next up move only managed to move up to this high, and that high is way lower than what we expecting. So it is somewhere in the range of 55%. Okay, it didn't go like 1.618. It didn't go. Okay, so it is below expectation. And what does it mean in terms of technical analysis? When a particular target is not met, it just signs a potential for a sideway. When the target is met, then we can say that if it is an uptrend, if the target is met, then we continue move upward. But since the up target wasn't met, Now we need to measure the down target. Okay, before we make a conclusion that it's going to go sideways, we're going to look at the down target. So let me see now the down target. To measure the down target, you need to take the high, all the way high to the low. Yeah, this is the low, I guess, and this is a high. Okay, what we can see here is the price. The sellers took a long time to pull it down, but the buyers took short time to pull it up. So the buyer sentiment is strong. So we are expecting it to, because of the buyer sentiment is strong, the expectation is it will only fall all the way to level 0.618. This again theory. When the buyer is strong, we give a kind of lower Fibonacci level. If say for example the buyer was not as strong as this, the buyer took very long time to move up, then we'll give level 1.618 on the downside, 1.618. But because the buyer on our case here is actually, they pull it up in a shorter time frame, so according to the theory we need to target at 0.618. So right now the price is moving down, so it's basically targeting around this region, around $7. But we are not sure yet whether it will reach to there. So it's just target can be missed. So when we just now noticed that the up target was missed, okay, and if the down target also missed, and then it confirms, according to technical analysis, it confirms that the particular stock is on a sideway. So for a sideway to happen, both the up target and the down target need to be missed. If both targets are missed, then it moves on the sideway. That's the theory. But if the trend is on the upside and the up target is kept being met, then it will continue to move up. The similar pattern for the down pattern as well. But this is just a double confirmation. We already noticed in the very first instant by just drawing the trend line, we already know that this is on a sideways pattern. But this price target only double confirm us that it is actually kind of on a what you call on a sideways pattern. So just now we put a high target, now we put a low target. Most likely these two targets will not be reached, and that means that this particular move, downward move, is going to stop somewhere before the previous low. Okay, so when we stop somewhere at the low here, it's actually kind of good sign for us, because still remember on the monthly chart, it's actually okay, now I'll enlarge it. Okay, this is the monthly chart again. So if you look at the monthly chart, it's quite bullish. In the monthly chart, it made a gap and moved up on a high volume. So on the shorter time frame, we notice that it's moving downward, and when it moves downward, we say that the downward move is going to stop higher to the previous low. Okay, let me move it back to the day chart. So we say that this particular down move is going to stop before the previous low, right? So before the previous low, so that means we will get a pattern called higher getting higher, low getting low kind of pattern, roughly. We are not 100% sure, because overall it's still in a sideways pattern. But if it stops somewhere middle here and moves up, it's basically kind of good for your monthly chart, because it further reinforces the idea that the bullishness that we see in a monthly chart is probably going to continue. So if the bullishness in the monthly chart is going to continue, there's a high chance that this particular, just now let me draw again the trend line. So there's a high chance this particular trend line here will be we're going to break out from this particular trend line. Okay, this is the trend line that we saw, resistance line, in other words, that we draw. So if the bullishness in the monthly chart is to continue and is supported by the day chart where the low is going to get higher, then I would suggest that for us to keep watch, and there may be a higher chance for us to break this particular resistance line. So we still right now there is no trading hint I want to give, but again it's up to your risk. I would suggest not to take any risk at this point. and we will wait for breakout above this particular resistance line for a few consecutive days or weeks, and then we will take a trade. We again need to monitor the price. If the price moves very fast, it's better for us to get into a trade quickly. But a lot depends on how it moves after the breakout. Okay, so we will keep this stock in watch, and we'll come back again once it managed to show some interesting trend. As of now, that's it. That's it for me now. Please, if you have gained some knowledge from me, and please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe this particular channel. I'm going to have a lot of interesting video analyzing, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye bye.